you woke up tomorrow as a woman, what would you do?
Probably get my tubes tied.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get pregnant by these fuck niggas.
Say it one more time.
I don't want to get pregnant by these fuck niggas.
You know what? That's actually the correct answer.
It is?
That's the right answer. Yeah, there was a right answer, and you said it.
I'm weak.
Congratulations.
What did I win?
Welcome to The Wall. Today we'll take a look at several single women who, instead of taking responsibility, blame the patriarchy and men for their inability to build a real connection. Yet another example of how victimhood is being promoted instead of self-criticism. We want you to smash that like button, help us reach our goal of 1,000 likes on this video, and don't forget to subscribe. Leave a comment with your experience and insight. We always pin the best one for the community. And heartfelt thanks to those who support this project through Super Chat. Now let's get started.
I'm literally obsessed with this comment. So Libby Kitty made a comment that explains so much. I've made other videos on this subject matter, but I want to expand on it based on this comment. The patriarchy let unfit men reproduce because women couldn't survive without them. For centuries, women had to attach themselves to whoever could provide for them, even if he was emotionally immature, violent, uneducated, abusive, or completely unfit to parent. Because without him, she would have no money, no land, no safety, and no options. So patriarchy didn't just disempower women, it artificially elevated men who otherwise would have been left behind in nature. This system created generations of fathers who were never emotionally equipped to lead. And now women have options. Women can say no. Women don't have to choose survival over sanity anymore. And the system is cracking under the weight of that shift. And this isn't about hating men. It's about no longer being forced to choose from the worst of them. It isn't a crisis. It's a correction. And it's long overdue.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
The very patriarchy they criticize is the one that gave them the ground they walk on today. It provided structure, security, and even the opportunity to thrive. Without that system, many would have never had a voice or a vote. And whether they like it or not, it was thanks to men that they now enjoy even the freedom to insult them. The narrative that patriarchy oppressed leaves out a key fact. It allowed women to have a home, a family, and stability in times when options were extremely limited. Today, they flaunt independence, but they live in a system built and sustained by men. And while they speak of freedom, the numbers tell a different story. Wealth is being lost because marriage has been destroyed. In the past, a couple built a legacy together. Today, most men who leave something behind either never got married or survived divorce.
You know, it's funny because you guys preach decentering men, but then the second you start talking to one, suddenly you're figuring out all the ways to how to detach and how to like space out the time texting him back and how to not care and how to make him obsessed. It's like, guys, you want to make him obsessed? You want to make him obsessed? You want to not give a fuck? You don't do anything. There's no secret formula. It's just being yourself and not doing anything. If you feel like texting him, fucking text him. And when I say by not doing anything, it's like you're not trying to play games. It's kind of like, well, if he's interested, then I can just be myself. And then, like, it's meant to be. Like, there's no, like, rules. It's kind of like I do my own thing. If you fuck with it, amazing, great. But if not, then we're good. That's decentering men. It's not, let's play this game and, like, how do I... Embarrassing! Embarrassing! Okay, embarrassing.
Absolutely true. Most of these women say one thing and then do the opposite. Just look at the famous 4B movement, which was supposed to be a major force today, especially after Trump won. The most radical ones even shaved their heads to show rebellion. And the result? They ended up looking ridiculous. No movement, no consistency, and in the end, no partner. Because reality always hits harder than the narrative. Sooner or later, they come back looking for what they claim to hate.
Is everyone going through a breakup right now? I feel like I have so many friends who have just turned 30 and they're either going through a breakup or a divorce or something crazy. And it's interesting because I actually got my divorce 2 weeks after I turned 30. And I remember being like, oh my God, I'm 30 and getting a divorce. But what really helped me during that time was hearing people's stories who are on the other side of like a divorce or a heartbreak, something that like you think you're never going to get over and then you do. That's what got me through it. So I want to share my story with you because 3 years ago today, I met my boyfriend and my life was like completely changed. So before I met him, I got my divorce at the end of, or my separation at the end of 2018. And then shortly after that, I reconnected with somebody from college and we had like a 2.5-year situationship. And it's funny because the divorce like was hard, but the situationship ending was so much worse. And it's funny because it reminds me of the Tortured Poets Department. You know, Taylor wrote this entire album about this situationship and had like 1 or 2 songs about the 6-year relationship in her life. Like that's kind of how I felt. So I actually ended up moving to Colorado because this man asked me to move and I was like, okay. I moved and he dumped me after a week. It was less than a week. It was crazy. And I was fucking heartbroken. And I was like, okay, where do I go now? Both of my sisters live in Austin. So I was like, I'm just going to go hang out in Austin for a while and see if I want to move here. I got to Austin. I absolutely loved it. And I remember it was August of 2021. I wrote this list. I wrote a list of everything I was looking for in a partner. And then I also wrote how I wanted this relationship to make me feel. Then in March 2022, I matched with this guy on a dating app and he was from Chino Hills, California, which is right next door to where I grew up. And I just was like, oh my gosh, this guy has like a kind face and I'm just like so interested in him. And then on March 18th, we actually had plans on Saturday, but the Friday before March 18th, he was like, hey, I know we have plans on Saturday and we can keep those plans, but I'm out with my friend and do you want to like meet up with us?
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Your story doesn't sound like a tough divorce. It sounds like you jumped from one man to another without stopping. You got divorced, didn't heal, and shortly after were already in another relationship. You moved from city to city chasing guys, like a backpacker in love. And the most ironic part, you never explain what you lived on. Was it from your own job? Or from the 50% you took from your first husband? That part never gets mentioned. The narrative is that you started from scratch, but in reality, you walked away with capital fronted by a man. It's not like you started with nothing. But let's keep listening to your story about how, once again, you were getting to know yet another man.
I normally would have said no and just stuck to the plan, but I just like got a wild hair and I was like, sure. And when I first saw him, I just had this insane attraction to him. It was like deeper than just like physical attraction. Like the more we talked, the more I was like, I want to consume every word out of this person's mouth. Like we talked for so long and I just was like transfixed by him. And then we hung out the next day too. And I just remember being like, wow, this chemistry is insane. Like, does he feel this chemistry too? And it turns out he did, but it wasn't like such a quick relationship. It took us a while to become official. It was probably like 6 months before we were exclusive, which was kind of torturous, especially with like how much I liked him. But I also felt this like weird sense of calm too, because he always showed up. He was always super honest with me. And I just like knew it was going to work out. Like I can't explain it. I was anxious, but also calm. Looking back, I'm actually glad the way we did it because I feel like we really got to know each other and built a really strong foundation before we jumped in too quickly. I feel like a lot of the times when you have such intense chemistry with somebody, you just want to dive like head first into the relationship. And then you're so intimate with somebody and then you kind of look around and you're like, wait, I don't even really know you. I'm just so beyond grateful for this relationship because it is happy, it is light, it is peaceful, it is everything that I feel like love should be. And Nick is just such a great person. He's happy, he's kind, he's fucking funny, he's smart, he's creative, he's just everything and more I could have asked for. I would take getting divorced and every single heartbreak I've ever experienced 1,000,000 times over to be where I am now. So I hope that you find some sort of hope in that if you're going through a breakup or a divorce too. Because if I didn't experience all the divorce, all the heartbreak, whatever, I wouldn't be the person that I am in this relationship now. And I feel like I'm such a better partner. I wouldn't be like this if I didn't go through what I went through. So I hope that you find some hope in that.
You had to divorce one guy, move in with the first Chad you met, who later dumped you, only to end up with another guy you met a few months later, moving to another city. And you tell it like it's some kind of inspirational story. What's the moral here? Keep jumping from man to man until the right one shows up? Because honestly, when did you ever take a break? You literally just kept looking for someone else. Chances are, that first Chad was already in the picture before your divorce. But hey, brothers, don't mourn anyone, because they never mourn you.
Just so you know how beneficial marriage is for men, they get married immediately after a divorce or after they lose their wives. In less than 6 months. 99% of them just get married again. Women, on the other hand, they don't get married again. If they lose their husbands or if they get a divorce, 90% of them don't get married again. Both my grandmothers, when they lost their husbands, they didn't get married again. And they weren't grandmothers yet. They were still very much in their youth. But men just immediately, they get married again. Immediately. As a matter of fact, they already know who they're going to replace the wife with. Women might get married for love, but men get married for your labor. And that's why that married man that you're having an affair with will never leave his wife, because free labor, like, why would he leave that for you? It's just a side piece. You'll never be able to take on all that workload that his wife takes on, so why would he leave that for you? Like, what? Be so fucking for real.
Stop it. Get some help.
Brother, what does your grandmother or the women in your family never remarrying have to do with the patriarchy? If your product isn't moving, that doesn't make it a statistic. The truth is, a lot of men are good husbands who end up with terrible wives. And chances are, another woman will see their value and hold on to them. That's what really bothers them. If you doubt it, I can guarantee that more than one divorced man has gotten a call from his ex-wife months, or even years later, trying to rekindle something. That happens when she can't find a better man than you. Many leave their husbands for the thrill, and when they realize they're not as marketable as they were when they were younger, they start wanting to go back. Or have we forgotten that a big chunk of divorces come from absurd reasons, like a woman saying she's bored? Responsibility is kryptonite for women.
Women.
That thing that you are so desperate to do, get married. I'm going to prove to you why that is rooted in patriarchy, and it shouldn't be something that you so want to do so badly. How many of you have heard the term, I now pronounce you man and wife, after two people get married? That is very commonly used and is still used today, and that was actually the original term when two people got married. Now, I want you to pay close attention to that terminology. They say, I now pronounce you man, the man, and wife. Wife is not an individual. A wife is not a woman. A wife is a role in relation to a man. A wife isn't seen as her own individual being. That woman is referred to as how she relates to her husband. That is why a woman changes her name, because she was seen as the property of the man. That is why she couldn't work. That's why she couldn't have a bank account, because she was seen as his property. And that is why they say, I now pronounce you man and wife. Now, if you want to get married, that's fine. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I want to open your eyes as to the origins of marriage. And to all those dusty dudes out there who are going to be in the comments saying, oh my God, who hurt you? Why would you say such a thing? I don't need to be hurt to debunk patriarchy. And by the way, I can get married anytime I want. I've had plenty of proposals. I choose not to get married, dusty ass dudes. So don't even go on that train. I just want to educate my queen ladies as to why marriage is not the ultimate goal.
Proposal about as much as I believe the stories most mothers tell about leaving the rich guy for the poor man who became your father. Women like that never bring any value. They don't get married, they don't build a family, and then they start sharing the only thing they know, their misery. Because, as far as I know, the phrase goes, I now pronounce you husband and wife. It's a term used to show that you have a formal partner in front of the world. But of course, that doesn't sit well with her, since she's always wanted to live like a single woman while enjoying the benefits of a relationship. The very idea of showing respect to a real bond bothers her. She's on the wall now, and the wall doesn't forgive. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Who do you think benefits from marriage? Do you think the modern woman is incapable of understanding what it means to be in a real partnership? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.